Hi, everybody. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me now. Apparently, there's a button on this microphone that, has to be pressed. So I'm glad we got it. Well, I hope you enjoyed your brief introduction to Zoe. That's our little girl, and she's amazing and distracting. I can't seem to get anything done. Working from home is great, except when you have the cutest little girl in the whole world. I know. I don't have any objectivity here. So let's talk. We're here to check in with you guys and see how you're doing, and to learn about our dialogue and what impact the food has on us and all that kind of stuff. And we're gonna see how you guys feel about the enhancements that are now happening. So let's see how you feel about that. And is anybody really happy to be saying goodbye to sugar? Anybody super happy about that? All right, excellent. Is there anybody going, my friend, how could you take away my friend? Is anybody a little worried about sugar going away? Anybody? All right, cool. Remember, we're going to make enhancements, but they're not necessarily forever. They're for now. It's a vacation. And so the enhancement for this week is to increase your fruit intake a little bit. I know some of you are like, I'm really worried about increasing my fruit intake. Trust me on this. If you are eating refined sugar and you're now going to be cutting that out, then increasing your fruit will actually help a little bit. So you're going to increase fruit a little bit this week, and you're going to cut out all of the refined sugar. And that's going to be a little tricky because some of you are going to find this week that you start getting angry. No, not with me, hopefully, but with the food industry, because you're going to start seeing how unbelievably prolific sugar is. And I want you to know something, and I know it's in the videos, but I want to say it to you one more time. There is only one reason that sugar is in everything, and that is that it is profitable to put it in everything. Now think about that, because sugar has a cost, right? Like they have to buy the sugar to put it in their food. So they would not be buying the sugar to put it in the food if it did not boost their profitability. They wouldn't do it. And so how does sugar boost their profitability? Well, you could say it's because people really like sweet things, except that's not the thing. That's the obvious thing. That's in some things, but the real reason is that sugar is in many things that you don't regard as sweet. Sugar is in the tomato sauce that you might make a pasta with. Sugar is in the soup mix that you bought. Sugar is in your bacon. Sugar is in your smoked salmon. Sugar is in those beautiful organic mangoes that you bought at the organic market. You'd be amazed how many things they now add sugar to, and here's why. Not because it tastes so good, but because it stimulates your appetite and makes you want to eat more. That's the reason. That's it. It's a manipulation. It's the nicotine of the food industry. It's addictive, and it makes you want to have more. And so what I want you to consider is that in order to eliminate sugar, you're going to have to spot it. And that's going to turn a whole new game on. And that game is in reading the ingredients. And so you're going to pick up food items and you're going to check out what's in them. So what I want you to do is recognize that, first of all, this is not forever. This is for now. We're taking a holiday from it. And we're going to notice some things. Some of you might find, thank you for that, bless you. Some of you might find that your energy changes or fluctuates a little bit this week as you come off this sugar. Why? Because this sugar is hot burning and it's instantly gratifying from an energy perspective. And so you might find that you have some energy fluctuations. Most people will not, but a few people might. Some of you might begin to find that even by Thursday or Friday of next week, that foods that you didn't previously regard as sweet start tasting a little bit sweet. And the reason for that is that by removing refined sugar, you're going to begin the process, which we will do over the space of several weeks. You are beginning the process of recalibrating your taste buds. And the best way, again, I think it's in the videos, but the best way I can describe this to you is like you're outside, it's a very, very bright day, and then you walk indoors and it's super dark inside until your eyes adjust, and then you realize it's not so dark after all. Well, most of us, even if we're not into sweet things, most of us, our taste buds have been assaulted by this sugar. And so our taste buds have dumbed down their receptiveness. And so we don't taste it as much. And so as your taste buds begin to recover, you're going to notice that things out there are really, really sweet. Many things that you didn't even regard as sweet. So that's the enhancements for this week. Now, this is the first week that anything has been removed. And so I want to discuss the way that buffer zone works, because you see, years ago, when we created this program, we would announce the changes on the Monday, and we kept getting feedback from clients that that's really difficult because they do their shopping on the weekend. So they needed to know the enhancements early. But then we're like, yeah, but if we give them the enhancements and then they go do their shopping, what do they do before they did their shopping? And so suddenly we had this idea, we'll give them the enhancements on the Friday, and then they won't go live until the Monday. And we just thought this was a matter of simple convenience. It turns out that you're about to enter into one of the most interesting things about the Wild Fit Challenge, and that is that the changes for this week are optional until Monday, which means that you can no longer fall back on Eric said, because Eric didn't say. That means that when you look over at that donut or that piece of cake or that whatever ice cream or whatever, well, you know, yeah, whatever it is that you look at, where you used to go, I want it, I don't want it, I want it, I don't want it. Ah, but Eric said, Eric no longer said. And what that means is, there you go, Candy. Yeah, that, I like it. Good, we're gonna talk. Now, where we're gonna go with that is that you're gonna begin to realize that your dialogue is going to change now that you've removed the Eric card, where you can't play on that anymore. And so the devil's gonna be like, and here's what's really funny too, is that in a weird way, because the devil has had this ultimate trump card, this excuse, Eric said, the devil's gotten lazy about selling. And so now this weekend, when the devil tries to sell you, the devil's going to be, oh, what did we used to use? For the last 2 weeks, we've been using Eric said, but I forget all our old techniques. And so you're going to find the devil's going to have a harder time selling you. And you're going to find that the angel's going to have an easier time winning. And so when you go through this weekend, I want you to know, however you do it is okay. However you do it is okay. In other words, you might binge out. Who's in the binge out camp? Let's be honest. Come on. There's a few of you out there in the binge out camp. Come on. Who's going to binge a little on sugar over the weekend? Let's see. Yeah, all right. And who's in the, that's it. I'm the achiever here. I'm going to cut it out right now. In fact, I watched the video and I'm already done. Who's in that camp? And who's in the, I really don't know yet camp? Who's in that camp? There you go. You can see the game is already working, because it's already got us thinking. All right. So that's how things are. And now let's talk with you guys. And we are going to move right over here. All right. Again, I need little accents. I'm going to spell your name with accents so I know where the I and the A goes. Like Candida. Candida? Did I do it right? Candida. Candida. I did it right. Yeah. So what have you got there?
So chocolate. As I promised. So it took me into a really deep dive into what's going on with chocolate, because fruit is already too sweet for me, and why am I still reaching for chocolate? And at Whole Foods in the States, which is a good place to shop for better options, anything that's labeled, I still had a hard time finding low sugar chocolate. Now, the one I was binging on, though, I couldn't find the sugar content. It felt like, it tasted like it was super low. It's a private chocolatier in Portland, Oregon, that makes it Alma. I opted to, I wanted to find the least sugar in all of the chocolate. And so the only one that was labeling it sugar-free was still, and it's using 0 sugar, but it is using Lakanto sweetener, which is erythritol and monk fruit extract. And it's a vegan option. Funny enough, this chocolate tastes too sweet to me, even though it has 0 chocolate, 0 sugar. This one has 24 grams of sugar, and it tastes less sweet to me. It also really messed up my sleeping pattern. I ate it late at night because that's usually when I hit it, and I really wanted to pay attention to when I actually, what happens to my body when I eat it. And I already had a really hard time even wanting to eat it after all this experimentation. So I did it because I made a promise. And it was good because I've noticed, first of all, it kept me up till 1:30 in the morning, and I ate it at 8. and at night, and my sleeping pattern was completely messed up. I couldn't sleep deeply. I didn't get any rest. That definitely linked it more towards not wanting it. It's not worth it. The too sweet chocolate that says zero sugar still doesn't do it for me anymore. And now I've become so aware of sugar in anything. I even bought all these different fruits to prepare myself for Monday. And I've figured out, okay, I'll try jackfruit and whatever. And then I found out what the sugar content is, and it's lower than apple and so on, but it still messed me up. So I tricked myself into how am I going to deal with the sugar in the morning? Avocado is sugar, is a fruit, sorry. Avocado is a fruit. And I thought, okay, if I have avocado first, I'll have a more alkaline basis and fat, and then experiment with eating twice the amount of sugar. And then and then I experimented with the jackfruit and all these different fruit that I haven't had before. Super sweet. My body's really reacting to it, and my taste buds. So I made a super alkaline smoothie with dinosaur kale, heavily on the dinosaur kale, very little spinach, and only blueberries as fruit. And I tasted it after I tasted the fruit. And usually this is my old smoothie, and it tasted so bitter after all of this fruit. But I knew I had to get over it because I needed to alkalize as quickly as possible. So after a while, after I had a glass, it changed my taste buds again to be okay and to enjoy the alkalinity of the smoothie. But it was a real struggle for me. So it's a long discourse on sugar, but maybe more than what you wanted to know. But.
No, that's good. Let me ask you, so how do you feel about going into this week where now refined sugar totally gone?
Oh, so happy.
All right. Well, that's key. And so the chocolate that you have there with you that has the sugar in it, will you eat that over the weekend or is it?
No, actually, already. And I paid attention to that too. I ate one piece thinking, okay, this is good enough. It's just, keeping the promise, that's all I need. But it was really yummy. And I thought, well, he said I could have it, so might as well have it. But I also noticed, not just because you said I could have it, and this might be the last chance summer dance, but as I ate, with every bite that I swallowed or even chewed, I got hungrier.
Yes. And
I noticed also that I had a healthy dinner and an alkaline vegetarian dinner, which works well for me, before I had the chocolate, because I thought, okay, maybe I won't eat as much chocolate. But it's not true. I had a piece of chocolate, and then all of a sudden I was hungry for a full meal. The chocolate wouldn't satisfy it. It got me into starvation mode. And I ate another full, big salad and another vegan meal trying to alkalize myself. That didn't work. I was still hungry for starches. It took me so much to just balance myself out again. And so I ate 3 dinners. It's crazy. It's crazy. I wouldn't have noticed that without this course, though. That behavior, and because you got me to really, really pay attention to the inner dialogue and also what the body feels like. So I'm grateful for that.
Well, I'm glad you're making these observations. Well done. You're playing the game well. You're well done. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Jan Davidson asks, is this an alkaline diet in the text here? It's really funny because what ends up happening is that when one participant comments, like, I can tell you, Canada has had some experience with alkalinity, and somebody's taught her about blood pH and that kind of stuff, which is why she's talking about alkalizing smoothies and that kind of stuff. I want to be really clear that, Jan, the best way I can answer your question is that no, it's not an alkaline diet. But is alkalinity an important consideration in our overall seasonal adjustments? Yeah, of course it is. the human body, mammals in general, are designed to go through seasons of alkalinity and seasons of acidity. Being overly alkaline is just as dangerous as being overly acid. It's just that in our current life, in our current world, it's really hard to be over alkaline because it's so easy to be over acidic. So no, this is not an alkaline diet, but the seasons that we go through, we have seasons that are more acidic, and we have seasons that are more alkaline, and that's with intent. And by the way, let me demonstrate that to you a little bit. Mammals have something called the calcium buffer system, which is designed to, in essence, keep the blood pH balanced, within the healthy range. And so the way that works is that if you're in an acidic season, say for example, you're in lots of fruit is in season, or there's a hunting season, and you're eating things that might stimulate more acidity. Well, then what your body does at that point is it takes basically a loan from the skeletal system, from the bones, calcium, and it creates calcium bicarbonate and balances off the acidity in your blood. And so your blood pH was getting too acidic, and then it comes down and everything's fine. And the idea of this is that when the seasons change and you move to a more alkaline existence, you're eating a lot more greens, then your body goes, oh, look, our blood is becoming a little bit on the alkaline side. So what we can do is take this calcium and we can put it back into the bones. And then, so our body is constantly keeping our blood pH. It's funny, Canada, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Dr. Robert Young, who was kind of one of the guys who really got the whole pH thing out there. But what always kind of bothered me about it is he would always, he and many of the other people with that thing, they would always say, well, if you become too acidic, you're going to die. Let's be really clear. Most people that live in America are already, if that were true, they'd already be dead. The fact is that mammals are extremely good at keeping their blood pH in the livable zone, but we do that at the expense of our bones. We do it at the expense of at the expense of our skeletal system. So it's not so much that you're going to die because your blood became too acidic. You're not. Your body's going to stop that from happening. It would be really hard to do that. But what you can do over the space of a few decades is completely obliterate the density of your bones by having an overly acidic life. So again, Jan, no, this is not an alkaline diet. It's a recognition that mammals are meant to live in seasons. So I hope that answers your question. I'm going to just whip through some of the text questions real quick here, just real fast. Aaron, yes. Sorry, Aaron already answered this, but honey and maple syrup and some of the natural sweeteners that you're already using, they're still in at the moment, but not to replace sugar. In other words, to the degree that you are already using them, you can continue to use them, but don't use them to replace where you were using sugar. So if you, for example, drink coffee or tea and you add sugar to your coffee or tea, now you do coffee and tea without sugar. You don't add honey. You don't add something. You don't add artificial sweeteners. If you were already using artificial sweeteners, you may continue to use them for now, but you don't add any where you weren't using them before. Is that clear to everybody on honey, maple syrup, agave, artificial sweeteners? Are we clear about all that? Thumbs up? All right, looks like we got it. Somebody says here, Eric, let's talk about sugar, alcohol, please. We will, just not right now. Hang tight. You want to have a glass of wine, you go for it. It's all good. And we will talk about alcohol later, but right now we're dealing with refined sugar. Bear with me one second, guys. I'm just having a little technical problem here. Hold on. All right, and let's go to, I don't know how to eat more fruit. Don't worry about it. Don't stress yourself about eating more fruit. That statement is there because when we first start putting people on fruit, they eat like 2 apples and think that's a lot of fruit. So if you are truly eating a ton of fruit and you're like, I can't increase it anymore, don't. That's okay. It's really designed to make sure, I'll describe to you a little bit about what's going on here, is that we treat sugar as though it's heroin. And if you want to get somebody off heroin, one of the ways you do that is you give them methadone, right? Methadone satisfies the body's craving for the heroin, but doesn't give you the high, and then you can slowly take the people off the methadone. Well, we're just using fruit as a form of methadone. It's to help people break their addiction. Now, many of you are going, yeah, but Eric, I don't have a sweet tooth. I'm not a sweet tooth person. Let's talk again in a few days when you realize that being a sweet tooth person has nothing to do with it, because sugar is in everything. Unless you have been particularly retentive and OCD about eliminating sugar from your diet, you're eating sugar. because it's not possible not to anymore. Something like 60 or 70% of all of the food produced in the Western world has refined sugar, or refined sugar under one of its, many hidden names, corn syrup and the like. So when we say to increase your fruit, we're just saying, hey, let's use it a little bit as methadone to get us through this. So, but if you're really at your limit, you don't need to push it any further than that. Somebody here asks about I can't pronounce it, erythritol. It's sugar alcohol. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about alcohol, artificial sweeteners, and that kind of stuff. For now, what I would say is that what I'd say is ideally you probably would remove it as a form of sugar, but we're officially going to talk about alcohol a little bit later, and it's a little bit on the line. So I'll leave that decision to you. But hey, if you're not using it now, please do not add it in. So those are some of the text questions. Danielle Silverman, what is an alkaline diet? It very simply is a diet that focuses on imbalance. What I mean by that is that an alkaline diet, like many diets, what makes them work is that they create an imbalance so that in the short term they create a result, but they don't create the long-term seasonal cyclical cycle that our body needs to go through. So an alkaline diet is a diet where you focus on only eating foods that generate an alkaline response in the body, which is great. That's way better than the average Western diet, but it's actually not functional to live that way permanently because we are meant to have seasons and cycles. All right, I'll go to you guys live now. I have a bunch of people with their electronic hands raised, and I could swear I saw Wendy Beasley go. She's giving me all the enthusiasm. She's got to be next. All right, Wendy, you are live. Okay, you're unmuted on our side, but I can't hear you. Oh, you're muted again for some reason. Let's try it again.
Can you hear me now?
I can. It's very faint, but I can hear you.
Okay. My question is less about sugar because once when I was very ill, I went raw food.
Yep.
I know I can cut it out, though it's a horrific shock to find even my can of organic peas had sugar in it. My question is something you just touched on, so I'll be brief. You said the things we're giving up is not necessarily forever. I find that I need to know this because if I give up cheese, and I love cheese, I need to know that occasionally in my life I can still have cheese.
Who said anything about giving up cheese?
You're going to say something about dairy. I'm sure. I
don't know what you're talking. Jillian, what's she talking about? Did I say anything about cheese? Did I mention that the FDA had to that the dairy industry had to apply to the FDA to allow more pus in the milk production because they can't fight the 1 in 5 cows that have mastitis, which means you're basically drinking infected sewage? I mean, did I mention that you had to cut that out? No, you should keep having it. Don't cut it out. You're not allowed to cut it out. Did I mention that the only reason that cheese doesn't give people a horrible lactose response is because cheese is in fact mold? It's just mold. That's all it is mold. And the mold is eating the sugar. And so if you like eating mold, you should just keep eating the cheese. I did not say anything about cutting out moldy, pus-filled, cow-abusing, ethically, unbelievably irresponsible food. I didn't say anything about that.
I don't get my milk or cheese from that. I live on a little island with an organic farmer with 5 cows who makes his own cheese. I even know the names of the cows.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
Did you breastfeed your children?
Yes.
What if we had tried to convince you to continue lactating for the rest of your life?
I think you were crazy.
Would you have enjoyed that? Especially if somebody else was going to come along and, milk you. Would you have enjoyed that?
No, I wouldn't.
So what I would tell you is I don't care how nice the farm is. I don't care how sweet their names are. It is abusive to trick an animal's system into permanent lactation so that you can massage their breasts against their will and squeeze their life juice out of them. Do you remember how hard it is to generate the milk? Do you remember how depleting it is to your body to breastfeed? And those cows are going through that every single day. So I'm sorry if I'm being a little harsh here, but I don't regard a nice, ethical, beautiful farm as being a responsible way of raising milk, because milk is, in my opinion, the single most abusive agricultural practice that we do. I want to ask you something. If you have a choice between reincarnating as a beef cow or a dairy cow, which one would you choose? Well, let me help you with the decision. If you are a beef cow, you will be born. And we're gonna assume the most beautiful family-run, gorgeous farm with the red barn. You know the one I'm talking about. And you're born, and then you're gonna nurse from your mom, and then you're gonna go out into the field and you're gonna eat grass and you're gonna run and chase butterflies, and you're gonna grow up to a certain size. And then one day somebody's gonna come along and they're gonna ethically end your life in a way that frankly would have been a lot more pleasant than the way the wolves or lions would have done it. That's the beef cow's life. The dairy cow is going to be born, it's going to nurse from its mom, it's going to be released into the field until one day they've decided it's time for it to breed. They're then going to artificially inseminate it with a machine. Yes, there is some natural mating done these days, but very, very rare comparatively. So it's going to be artificially inseminated with a machine or a syringe, which in my world, I'm sorry, language is a form of rape. I don't like. Then the cow is going to get pregnant. They're going to take the cow, take the baby away from the cow the minute it is born, because they don't want the cow's milk going to the baby. They want the cow's milk for people who somehow think they need to have the milk, even though for millions of years nobody ever had milk. And then they're going to take that baby, and just in case you ever wondered where veal came from, they're going to take that baby and they're going to put it in a small crate to restrict its movement, and they're going to feed it watered down milk and flour so that its muscles never take proper shape, so that its meat is tender so they can sell it for more money. In the meantime, the mother is going to go through an incredible and deep depression that its child is taken away from it. In many cases, mother cows have broken out of their pens to go and find their children miles away from them. Milk is the most deplorable agricultural activity we commit as humans. It is inhumane. Now, that said, I'm not asking you to stop cheese.
Oh, if I'd done such a good guilt trip on my kids, wow, they would have been really impressed.
Yeah, well, so what I want you to know is everything I just said is true, including the dairy industry applying to the FDA to allow more pus in the milk stream, because 1 in 5 cows have in America have mastitis, and it's antibiotic resistant now. So they were getting so much pus flow into the milk that they couldn't fight it anymore. They had to go apply to have the amount increased. And you're going to drink that. Now, there's the odd cynic in here who'll go, oh, what the hell? They're going to pasteurize it and cook it all away. I don't care. That said, I want you to keep having milk and I want you to keep having cheese because nobody asked you to cut it out. Might we talk about cheese in the future? Spoiler alert, we might. But for now, you just keep on going and having your cheese and try not to create any horrible pictures in your head while you eat it.
Okay.
All right?
Thanks.
Thank you, Wendy. Wow, that was kind of fun. Jillian, would you please time code that? I want to get that video and show it to the coaching staff. So, all right, who's next? I'm on fire now. Get me talking about dairy products. It just gets me going. All right, I have, oh, hang on. I've lost my screen here. And I have Aaliyah. Aaliyah?
Yes, hello.
Hi there, where are you from?
I'm from London.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Just talking about the dairy, I was trying to sort of second guess what would be eliminated, and I thought it would be dairy, and I thought that's quite easy because you've put us off the milk. And I had the day you were talking about it, I thought, oh, I've heard it before, it hasn't put me off, and I went to get a McDonald's milkshake, and just because we were allowed, and that week I was taking, it was like I'm sipping cow pus, and I couldn't finish it. And but then because you said we had to finish it if we usually would, I finished it, but it was just I felt disgusting drinking it. So I think dairy will be relatively easy for me, but the thing is,
nobody said anything about cutting out dairy products. I don't know what you're talking about.
I just said that because of the last call, but my question is, sugar is going to be really tough. I'm one of the people who's going to spend the whole weekend just eating as much sugar as I can, I think, because
You go, girl. You should eat it, drink it, snort a line of it if you want. You go right in there.
Yeah. So going on from that, I'm going to find this really tough, and just, I don't know, trusting the process, and just any more encouragement from you would be welcome.
Well, it's coming. And let me tell you, I just had a graduation call with a private group. Every now and again, I'll take a very small private group. And there were some very, very influential people in that group. And we were working together. And one of them, I've known her for many years. She's all the way from the other side of the world. And first couple classes, especially when we got to this week, she was actually a little grumpy. She's like, I didn't know it involved this. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to give up. I don't understand. I mean, I'll try it now for this week, but don't think for a minute you're going to end my. She's on the call today, week 13. She goes, I don't understand what you've done, but it was easier than I would have ever imagined, and I have no desire for it at all today. So I am telling you that there is absolute light at the end of the manipulative, disgusting, drug-fueled sugar industry. You're going to be okay.
Okay, thank you. I've already said to my kids that I might be a bit grumpy from Monday onwards.
It could be. It could be. If there are a few people that might be a little bit grumpy, some of it might be biochemical in terms of that your blood sugar might run a little low because sugar is so hot and fast burning and fruit takes a little longer. So, but just step up your fruit intake, use the methadone, help yourself come down off it. And the other part of it might be that you've got certain emotional needs that you're meeting with sugar. And all you need to do is really notice that. Notice the emotional need and see if you can find another way. Very often, sugar is a comfort food. In other words, you're eating it because it makes you feel a sense of love and connection. So when you start to feel like you're a little grumpy and you feel like, oh, I need a little sugar, what you do is you walk up and you go up to your kids and you look them in the eye and you give them a hug and they go, what was that for, Mom? And you say, I just love you. And you'll suddenly notice that whatever craving you had for sugar was only ever a craving for connection and a craving for love. And the sugar industry bought and paid you to move your meanings. And they're fake. They're not real. So don't worry. You are going to be surprised. This will be easier in some ways than you think. It will be hard at times, yes. But I think it'll be easier than you think.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, who is next? I'm looking, I'll go to the electronic hand raise. Oh man, I have a double electronic hand raising here. I've got Jan making faces. I can't. I got to put an end to that. Crosby, I'm with you too. It's too much. You're going to cause trauma to people. I'll come to you next. Take it easy over there. All right, Jan, you're in.
Torture. Your devil horns are showing a little bit with your stuff, but oh my God, I'm going to have nightmares over the cow thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Was everybody listening in on our
little brain scarring, but that's okay. We understand your manipulation. I was sure it was going to be dairy this week, so I'm excited about the sugar, but I want to address and understand if it's normal. Since you've been saying it's okay, I was in the grocery store and I was it was a couple times ago after I've loaded up on fruits and veggies, wandering down leisurely down the chips and cookies and chocolate aisle, buying things.
You mean down diabetes and
diabetes lane? Oh, that's
down diabetes lane.
Down diabetes lane, and then going into like, I love peanut butter cups. One time at the movies, I swear to God, I saw a very, very, very obese woman. I mean, probably in the 400-pound range, squeeze in front of me, sit down with a giant tub of popcorn, and then she poured the 2-pound bag of M&Ms into it, and I literally went, yum. Really? I mean, like, yeah, right. Stupid, right? So I'm gonna have my popcorn and M&Ms tonight for the last call. So, but I'm finding that, I made myself ice cream and a brownie with chocolate syrup. I didn't want it, but I thought, oh crap, I gotta still have it. But has anybody else, has this triggered a little more, I don't want to say bingey, but yeah, kinda.
Oh yeah.
You're like, that's a little danger zone for me because things I had not.
I'm gonna binge like.
Yeah, I'm gonna go down the sugar lane a little bit. Even though I know.
That's totally fine. Jen, there's other people on
but it's normal.
The same way, and there's other people in the group that don't.
You're breaking up. I lost that.
Okay.
Can you say that again? Because you broke up.
I'm with you. What I was saying is that there are other people on this call that, like you, already know they're going to binge. But worse than that, there are people on this call that don't know they're going to, and they're going to.
Really?
Oh yeah, they're thinking, I don't think I will. I don't think they will. And then they're going to do something and it's, oh, well, but God, it could be the last time. Let me be clear with all of you. This is not the last time unless you want it to be.
Yeah.
I told you before, WildFit is not this obsessive, I can't have that. It's not an obsessive denial program. It's an excessive getting the right stuff program and changing what you want. And so this is just an experiment for right now. That said, binge away if you want to binge away.
It's brilliant because it's brilliant how you're doing this because you're fueling us. We're being so so fueled in every little hunger way. And I see the methadone madness to the fruit replacing the sugar. And I've been off sugar before because I've done Whole30 a couple of rounds. And after, you'll have a headaches for a few days, but then you're fine. You don't even think about it.
And I think you'll be shocked to find that most people, there may be some people that get some headaches, but most people will not. And that's because of a few things that we're doing differently. And it largely has to do with methadone. It has to do with the sugar, the food. But Jan, let me give you another little clue here.
Okay.
Have you ever heard the story about the guy, there's the huge flood warning, right? There's the huge flood warning, you know the one, and then he's like, oh, well, God will protect
the neighbors, the helicopter.
Yeah, they send the police in the canoe, and each time he's like, I don't need to be rescued. God's going to take care of me, right? And then he's up there whinging to God, why am I dead, dude? I put my faith in you. God's like, I sent you the canoe, I sent the warning, I sent the police. God, the universe, fate, whatever you want, has been telling you guys all that this food is a problem for a very long time.
Oh my
You're
God.
ignoring it. And so what you're going to do in the future, Jan, when you sit down and you see somebody take their popcorn and pour their M&Ms in, you're going to look at that and go, that's God talking to me right now. That's the universe talking to me right now. If you walk into an eating establishment, a restaurant or a shop, and you're about to buy something a little sinful this weekend in part of your binge, and you look over and you see somebody who is morbidly obese, you are not going to judge that person. It is not their fault. You understand? It is the food industry's fault. But they are still a sign. There's still a sign to you that you are now herding with people that behave that way and create those results. Right? And so you're going to use people like that in the future as a sign from the universe that this might not be the most functional day.
I knew it wasn't a good idea, but that really shows you got major issues with food. If that looked like this looks like a really good idea. And I'm also eating a lot of bread, which I don't allow myself normally. It's an occasional thing.
Yeah, you go right ahead.
I'm like,
Jan, do you like popcorn?
With M&Ms in it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. On occasion, I have my way I make it, but
no, you don't.
Yeah, I'm sure it tastes like cardboard. I thought about what you said.
Yeah, you don't like popcorn.
Yeah.
You don't.
And
you like salt.
You like salt and crunch.
Sugar.
I want crunch and salt and fat, and then you eat the big bowl, and you're like, bleh.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I'll
So
tell you,
I'm fat now and feeling totally fluffy, and I can't. I'm in stretch pants. This is not. I don't even like my cute jeans. No, I don't know what I'm gonna wear now when I leave here. In 10 minutes.
you don't worry, Jan. In a couple of weeks, you're gonna have to replace the cute jeans with cuter jeans. It's all gonna be.
I love that. Yay! All right, we love you. Thank you for this. I feel hope.
All right, and Crosby, you're up.
Hi, Eric.
How are you?
Okay, so just as my disclaimer for the whole group, I did do the Mind Valley group last fall. I had great success. The problems that I have in kind of this phase of things is you keep talking about keep eating the things that you normally eat. And for me, it's always been sort of cyclical. It's not like I have pizza every Friday or a donut every morning before work, and it all kind of goes in cycles. So it's hard for me to kind of do that and have the conversation around it. So I kind of do my best, but I think that's part of the problem that I had last time with not making the finalized changes.
Yeah.
Because I did go back to eating some of the things that we had cut out and eliminated during the program the first time around. And
now hang on, I want to make a distinction here, just so everybody knows, because there are people doing the program the first time and people always ask, why would somebody do it again if it works so well? So I want you guys to hear her language. I did go back to eating some of. Now, so first of all, there's a presupposition that there are some foods that she absolutely did not go back to. Crosby, is that true?
yes,
Okay. The second thing is, when you say you went back, did you go back to them before I told you to, or did you go back to them because in week 2 I said, eat the stuff you want?
because you told me to. Because
Now
you
again,
said go back.
I'm clarifying that stuff with you just so everybody hears what I just said. What, in other words, she had absolutely gotten the result that she wanted. She had changed her behaviors, but because we put her back into the Wild Fit program, when we said eat the way you eat and eat what you want, she recognized there were some foods that she was still using a tiny bit of willpower to not eat. There were many others that were fine. There was no willpower problem, so she didn't bring them back. But there were some foods that there was a little bit of willpower involved, so she brought them back to end her relationship with those ones as well. I just wanted to explain that to people who wonder why people do the program twice.
Yes, that is exactly it.
Carry on.
Okay, so here's what I have observed. First of all, I have to tell a story like Jan told. My story about this is I saw on Oprah like 10 years ago, and they had somebody who was like morbidly obese and lost weight. And they told and this overweight person had told the story about going to the grocery store and like buying an entire cake and a gallon of milk. And that was what they ate for 2 days. And the entire audience was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, is that bad? I could totally. That's my story, like Jan.
I'm thinking that in Colorado, in Oregon and Colorado and Washington State, that kind of stuff is happening a lot right now.
Okay, so my devil is having an absolute field day with this Eric Said So. And there's even a moment, I went for a massage yesterday. And so before my massage, I just usually have my green smoothie. I drink a ton of water. I don't eat an actual meal. And yesterday my devil was like, we should have a bagel and egg sandwich. That sounds like a great idea. And I was like, no, we're going to go have a massage. We're going to keep everything clean and really be able to flush the toxins. And the devil was like a stomping little child and saying, Eric said so. Eric said so. You have to do Eric said so. And was like adamant. And I got my devil so under control before. And the fact that he threw an absolute fit like that was very telling. It was an interesting moment.
Yeah, it is. What's really neat about it is that quite often tantrum precedes alignment. In other words, there's going to come a time, as you already have, there are some foods that your angel and your devil now agree on, right? Like there's some foods that it used to be a fight. And now if someone were to come to you and go, hey, Crosby, eat this food, the angel would go, we don't do that, right, devil? And the devil go, yeah, we don't do that.
Right.
So very often to get to that point where they're aligned, the devil has to have a little bit of a tantrum. My wife, many years ago, I went to her and I said, I feel like we do this health stuff really, really well, but I feel like we've allowed some stuff to go wrong. I think we're allowing too much sugar. And back then we still had sugar. We don't now, but back then, like many years ago. And I said, we're allowing too much sugar and flour. I think we should cut that out. Now, I don't know if you're into the Lord of the Rings, but there's a moment in the Lord of the Rings where Bilbo gets to see the ring again. And Frodo from him kind of goes, my wife actually did that. Like I said to her, I really think we should cut out sugar and wheat and stuff like that just for a few months. And she went, "Wah!" And her devil took over her whole body. And then afterward, we're laughing our ass off. And she goes, yeah, I guess we probably should do that if that's the reaction I got. Right. So it sounds like you're playing the game exactly right. And I'm thrilled to have you here again.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. All right. Let's see here. Wait, hang on, Nazia. I've got you. Now, before I speak to Nazia, I now recognize that I've spoken to two people that I've already spoken to before. My general goal is to speak to new people each time. The reality though is I'm going with the people that are expressing to me that they have a question. And so if you please do not arrive in week 12 and go, but I never got to talk to Eric about this if you didn't raise your hand. It just wouldn't be fair. I hope we all get that. Nazia, you're up.
Hi, I had a very interesting experience today that I wanted to share with you guys. I was very stressed out. I'd left my passport to get it renewed at the passport office. So I was stressed out I didn't have my passport with me. So if anything went wrong, there's no identification. So anyway, after I'd left it, I was walking through this mall and I saw somebody wearing a Krispy Kreme t-shirt. And immediately I thought, I want a Krispy Kreme. And then I said to myself, why do I want a Krispy Kreme? Do I need a Krispy Kreme right now? And then it turned out, I sort of I stood there analyzing myself. And it was because I had lived in Canary Wharf where we had a Krispy Kreme in the mall. And I used to have one there every single day when I came back from work. So it sort of, and I said, I don't need it. I don't need it. And I was so proud of myself that I didn't actually go and have the Krispy Kreme. So that was really it. I just wanted to express that I think I'm beginning to hear my dialogue a lot clearer.
Okay, that's really good. Now, the only thing I want to suggest to you is that what that suggests is that you were still doing this a little bit on a willpower basis. In other words, the devil was the one asking, do you need it? Not the angel. The angel knows you don't need it. The angel knows that from the beginning. It's the devil that keeps going. What the devil's trying to do is go to the angel. Come on, don't we need it? Don't we need it? And then the angel might go back and go, come on, devil, do we really need it? And of course, the ridiculous thing saying is nobody ever needs a Krispy Kreme. It's not like nobody ever needs one, not ever. They want one really badly and stimulate the feeling of need. But the fact that you're at the point of talking to yourself about need says you've moved the line very, very well. Like you're at the point where I don't really want this anymore, but the devil's still talking to you about it. So all I'm saying is that until Monday, if that comes up again, you may need to give into it. I'm going to leave the judgment to you because you're in the buffer zone now. But just remember that if you're using willpower is a short-term result. And what's really fascinating is when you, Nazi, I want you to think about this. What do you think it's like eating a Krispy Kreme when you didn't want one?
Say that again. When I didn't want one.
What do you think it's like to eat one when you don't want one?
Too sweet.
Exactly. You see, the point is that a lot of the feeling good that we get from a given piece of food has actually nothing to do with the piece of food, but everything to do with the marketing and the meaning. So in other words, somebody goes, oh, I give myself permission to have a Krispy Kreme. I'm so special. I'm so loved. I just love myself so much. And then they feel all these feelings before they've taken the first bite. Then they take a first bite and they link the feelings to the taste, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is part of what we've been doing this last 2 weeks is getting to a place where your wants have been going down, 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 down. And yet I've been telling you have to eat it anyway. And so now you're having to put something into your mouth where you're not getting the endorphin rush from the decision to eat it.
Yeah.
And then what's going to happen is you're going to taste what it really tastes like and you're going to feel what it really feels like. So all I'm saying is you have the buffer zone in front of you. Eric didn't say anything anymore. All Eric said was, if the want comes up, maybe you got to listen a little bit. Otherwise, I'm really glad to hear that you're definitely making progress. I'm just always aware that people tend to want to make progress faster than they should. And sometimes they use willpower to cut things out. The problem with that is it means that 4 months from now, you have another Krispy Kreme. Whereas it may be that if you just have that one experience where it's like, I didn't want it, but I ate it anyway. And you go, wow. Eating it when I didn't want it is such an eye-opener. It tastes awful. I thought it tasted good, but it doesn't. What used to happen is I felt so good that the taste, and then on top of that, I feel like crap because maybe it did taste good, but I still felt like crap because you don't have all the feel-good emotions. So you're doing really well. I'm just pushing you to think a little.
No, I understand. Yeah. I have that with bread. I know I feel bad afterwards, but I still have it.
Keep doing that. Nobody asked you to stop eating bread. Who talked about bread? You guys keep bringing stuff up. You guys with all your guesswork. No. Thanks, Nazia.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Jill from Baltimore.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
I first have a question a number of us have, which is about tomatoes.
Yes.
So tomatoes are a fruit, but we're not used to eating them in the morning. And we're used to having them with lots of, salads and so forth. So do we just assume fruits in that weird category that's...
No, you assume that tomatoes are in a weird category like avocados. They're a fruit and they're kind of exempted from the other behavior of fruit for now. We will have a longer talk about tomatoes one day in the future, but and the role they play or what have you. But the main reason that we want to eat these things on an empty stomach is because the sugar content, and tomatoes and avocados are so low on sugar content that they're not, it's a different issue. So for now, have tomatoes, they're fine. You don't have to have them on an empty stomach. You don't have to treat them like fruit.
The next quick question is alcohol sugar? A couple of us have been asking about it, not related to alcohol. When you look at the back of and you look at the ingredients, you'll see something that says no sugars. And you look at the back of it and it's no sugars, but then there's sugar alcohol. Yeah,
sugar alcohol. Let me be clear. The reason that I'm a little fluffy on this is that right now we are going to talk about alcohol in the future. Alcohol is absolutely not cut out at this point, but erythritol, sugar alcohol is out with sugars. I just should have made it clear earlier. It's out with sugars. And you're absolutely right. They will lie and say that it has no sugar in it, and then they'll put that in. Here's the other thing that I want you guys, by the way, you guys want to play the game really well? Post pictures in the Facebook group of where you find sugar when you're shocked. Because I went into Pete's grocery store in Halifax, Nova Scotia, a really nice store. It's like Whole Foods, family owned. It's a beautiful little store. Grabbed a bag of organic, just said, organic dried mango. And I was like, I'm in the mood for that. So I took a bag of it, went to the till, paid for it, walked out the store, and I put the mango in my mouth and I spat it out. It was disgusting. And I looked on the ingredients, number 2 ingredient was sugar. I could not believe it. Why on earth would you sugar a mango? That's like watering down water. I don't understand the purpose. And so, but then now what you're going to notice is other stuff where it'll say, oh, like sugar's only the 6th ingredient, but then brown sugar is the 8th ingredient. And then corn syrup is the 12th ingredient. Why have they done that? They've done it intentionally to separate out the 3 sugars so they can move it down the ingredients list.
Okay.
Cool.
So my next question is around protein in the morning. So I would usually have a breakfast bar or something. I'm doing the alkalizer, I'm doing the fruit, that's all good. Waiting the time to have the bar. I realize looking at all the ingredients, I really shouldn't be eating any of these bars.
Yeah.
But I realized going through this whole experience that most of my eating behaviors, there is some emotion with my family and, families, everything's around meals and all that kind of stuff. But it's really a big convenience thing for me. So I eat out a lot. I buy a lot of prepared foods. So for me, as much of this journey is going to be about possibly getting a personal chef, but more likely becoming more, learning to like to cook again. And for a father who's a chef, it's one of the amusements of my family that I'm not a great fan of cooking. But the morning in particular seems hard because I'm fine with the fruit, I'm doing the alkalizer, but the time to actually make food in the morning, do I need the protein? You kind of inferred in one of the videos that maybe I really don't need the protein.
So Jill, right now, I want to focus on week 2 and 3, and none of this matters in week 2 or 3. It really doesn't. Just do what you're doing, and we will talk a lot more about the patterns involved in living wild fit post the program. You're asking really good questions. I'll give you a small answer. The first thing is, yeah, I think it'd be a great idea for you to get a personal chef if that's within your budget to do that, or to get yourself interested in cooking. I will tell you that we have a woman here who does the cooking for us on many of the days of the week. And, like one of the things I decided is I wanted to have a smoothie mix. Like when I'm not in spring and when I'm having fruit, the freezer always has cut up frozen fruit in it. And so all I have to do is go get some and make a smoothie in 2 seconds, because we have help with food prep. So I think it really does help to find ways of doing that. Years ago, when I couldn't have afforded to do something like that, I found a catering company locally, and they would bring to my office every morning a cut up platter of fresh fruit and vegetables. And then in the afternoons, a cut up platter of fresh vegetables with some hummus. And I found it was really funny. It seemed like that was going to be a really expensive thing to do. But as it really turns out, it wasn't so expensive to do it after all, because it was actually about the same cost as simply going out for lunch, which was what I was doing anyway. So there's all kinds of interesting workarounds. In terms of protein, let's be really clear. The reason that we believe that we need so much protein is that the Beef Growers Association have bought that belief in our culture. They did it to sell beef. So what I'm saying to you is that, consider the amount of protein in mother's milk. It's about 6%. Mother's milk is the perfect food for your first 2 years of life. And that's when you probably need the very most protein, and it's 6%. Fruit is 6% protein. So I would say that we've heavily overstated our need for protein. That said, one of the quirks of language is that we tend to try to use one word for multiple groups of things. For example, fat is good for you. Fat is bad for you. Sugar is good for you. Sugar is bad for you. All of those statements are true, but that's because there are multiple types of sugar and multiple types of fats and multiple types of proteins. And so, yes, you have a certain requirement for some proteins. And what I would suggest to you is that protein coming from animal products is a vastly overstated need. We do not need the 3 meals a day that most people have some form of meat, 2 or 3 meals a day. That's completely unnecessary. What we know, and by the way, I'm sure there's some vegetarians in here going, we don't need it at all. What I would say to you is that may not be entirely true. What we know is that people get vitamin B12 from animal products. Okay, the movie Forks Over Knives says that you get the meat from the soil on the carrots when you pull the carrots out of the ground. What do you think the soil is? The soil is rotting animal products. So that's why it has B12 in it. So yes, we get our B12 that way, but here's the kicker. B12 apparently stays in your bloodstream for 6 to 18 months. That suggests that, Jill, if I go out and kill us a mammoth and we have mammoth for 3 days, you might not need any more meat for months. It's entirely possible. Now, We will talk more about that in weeks to come. For now, don't change anything. We're making specific changes in a specific order at the moment to create specific results. And so your questions are very good for a few months from now. They're not so important just at the moment. Does that make sense?
Fair enough.
All right.
Thank you.
Great to talk to you. All right. Who is next? Next is, let's see here. I've got BJ Butler.
Hello.
You're up.
Well, it's been really interesting listening to everybody, you know, talk about all these foods that I can't eat. So, but I loved what you said about the dairy because I've been telling people that for many years. And I choose to eat things like organic almond cheese and organic, you know, that type of cheese and stuff, right? So, but I actually would love everybody to step out of the box and try it because it's actually very good.
Maybe one day when we talk about cheese, we might make some recommendations like that. For now, I would like everybody to continue eating cow pus. Cheese. I don't know what I was thinking.
But
Moldy cow pus.
One thing I want to say is, you know, I don't have all these other foods that I eat like everybody else, but my one weakness is wine. Can I still be a wino?
Absolutely. Carry on. Have we said anything about wine? Why? I have never had a call where people came in with so much apprehension about what's coming. I mean, no problem. Keep on having. I think that guy's got a glass of wine on his desk. Just carry on for now. Nobody said anything about wine.
The reason I asked, Eric, is because I don't know the process in making it, and I didn't know if there was added sugars in it or what.
That is a good point. Any alcohol, so alcoholic beverages are still allowed, but obviously not if they ever find sugar in them. And so some cheaper wines maybe have some sugar in them. They shouldn't, but some may. And some alcopops and mixed drinks and stuff might have sugar in them. Those are all out. But
okay.
You know, normal, good quality wine, beer, whatever, jump to it.
Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Okay, now guys, hang on a minute. I just have to check something. So here's what's going on. We are officially at time, but it looks like my internet is like working again. And I really felt bad that we had so many problems last week. So my team, you guys are officially allowed to go if you want. This is now an unofficial continuation of the call. So I know I've got a bunch of my team supporting. You guys are free to go, but I'm just going to hang out with everybody and kind of give some extra time because we had the internet problems last week. For the rest of you, the call is officially done. So please don't get mad at me later when you're like, but I had an hour off and I did the call and then you kept going, because it'll continue to be recorded. So you don't have to stay on if you still want to watch later. So are we all clear with the rules? This is now bonus time. Yes? All right. That said, Devin, you're up. I see your bat light. The bat light is in the sky. You got me.
Thank God. Finally. Good morning. And
Good morning.
Hello from San Jose, California.
Hello.
I actually just submitted a question because I didn't think you were going to call on me today. I have metabolic disorder. Isn't that a great word for a term for people that have been eating crap all their lives and are now paying the penalty for it? So
it's a little bit like when somebody jumps off a building and it turns out they died from deceleration syndrome.
Yeah, exactly. But I do want you to know my doctor is the one who thinks your programs rocks. So, and he's a regular general practitioner, but he also knows that nutrition is the #1 cause of most of the problems, especially people in my age. I'm approaching 60, so our middle-aged guys, you know, in America especially. But the thing that I'm having the issue with that I wanted the big question about.
I'm so glad to hear you say that.
Yeah.
Devin, I'm so glad to hear you say that because my son once when I was in my 30s said I was middle-aged. And I like, what the hell was he talking about? So I feel so vindicated and relieved. Thank you so much. Carry on.
You're welcome. Yes, you're still a youngster, so don't worry about that yet. But the question I have is that I have, as part of my metabolic disorder, I have chronic kidney disease. And with chronic kidney disease, I retain fluid very badly. And I'm on what's the water pills to help release the water. I cannot drink 6 to 8 glasses of water a day because it stays in my legs. My kidneys don't filter it out. So I know I'm getting a lot more liquids now just with the vegetables themselves.
Yeah, no, Devin, you're fine. So I understand that, and you're absolutely right. You can't, because your body's not able to process it. It's like we have clients that come in that are type 1 and type 2 diabetics, and they manage their fruit intake differently than everybody else does because they have to manage their blood sugar. I get that some people will have to make certain changes. Let me just, have you ever considered the definition of metabolic syndrome? Do you know what it actually is?
Kind of. I've done some Googling of it, but that's about it. Yeah.
I just want to tell you what it is a cluster of conditions: increased blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat around the waist, abnormal cholesterol, triglyceride levels that occur together, increasing your risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. In other words, it's eating junk. Now, I know you already said that, but I want to be really clear that if you want to sell drugs, you got to come up with a matching disease. There are diseases today that have been named and invented because a drug was accidentally invented in a lab and they needed to figure out a way to sell it. So now let's talk a little. It's okay to slow down your water intake. You're right. You're going to get, with the amount of fruits and vegetables that we're eating right now, you're going to get a lot of water, and you're going to get it more slowly. And so it won't slam your kidney so hard. What I'm really fascinated by, and I hope you will connect with my team because I really want to know, what I'm fascinated by is, does your kidney function improve over the next 8 weeks? That's what I need to know.
That's what I'm hoping to find out.
Me too. And I suspect that it will. I suspect that part of the problem with our livers and our kidneys is that they end up getting overstressed because of so much toxicity and the wrong kinds of liquids. I mean, how long can the kidneys process all the toxins that are in soft drinks and coffee and all this kind of stuff before one day they go, I can't function properly anymore? So absolutely tone your water intake down to what you believe to be manageable. Keep your water-rich foods up, and let's keep an eye on what's going on. Also, let me ask you, your doctor, is he a fan because of what you've told him, or was he a fan, did he already know about the program prior?
He's known about the paleo diet for years.
Gotcha.
And I had gone on the paleo diet last year and lost 20 pounds, but I never dealt with my eating issues, right? Yeah. And so I need to deal with the, and you're going to very seldom ever find men to admit this, but I eat to bury those emotions. And I was a foster.
Emotions?
Yeah.
Devin, what do you?
Yeah,
we don't have emotions.
But I was an abused foster child, and I started eating very young. And I also started reading very young because it was my escape from reality. So my food isn't, it's all about grandma's love or love of the family. Mine was the absence of all of that. So I think I'm going to probably suffer quite greatly as these foods are going away. But,
well, I think you're going to find something else. I think that what you're going to find is that while you weren't eating the food because it matches grandma's love, it's because you learned to eat food to needs early. Many of us lots of love when we were kids. If we linked up those foods to those feelings, and so we ate those foods to keep getting those feelings. You just did the same thing, only you started a lot earlier, right? Yeah. You had there was emotional pain, discomfort, emptiness, and you started filling that emptiness at a much younger age than the rest of us. The good news for you about that is that your body doesn't have the same positive link. Like the chocolate chip cookie to me meant my mom's love. The chocolate chip cookie to you only has it doesn't have that same super positive connotation. It just has a habit of filling a void.
I call it my anesthesia.
That's right. In other words, it's only ever been a drug for you and not a memory, which means this will actually be maybe easier for you than for others. Because as you let go of the food and realize that it was a false anesthesia, let's be really clear. A donut can take away the pain for maybe 4 or 5 minutes, but then the pain comes back more harshly. What's going to happen to you over the next few weeks is you're going to stop experiencing some of those pains. You're going to realize that you had already stopped experiencing them a long time ago, and that you were still taking the anesthetic out of memory. So I have every hope that you're going to find this easier than you think. I'm hoping.
I hope so. Right. My doctor does have me coming back in 5 weeks to retest my kidney function, my blood sugar, cholesterol and my blood pressure again. So
good, because that was going to be my next statement. It's because you're on medication that has to do with regulating bodily function. And anybody else, listen to me. If you're on medication that's regulating your thyroid, regulating your kidneys, regulating your blood sugar, please make sure that around the same time, around 3 to 5 weeks from now, that you go visit your doctor, because your body may change enough that your dosage might need to change, or maybe you need to come off it entirely. So it's absolutely smart to go and check that out, particularly for people that are on low blood pressure, on medications designed to drive your blood pressure down. Because as your blood pressure naturally comes down, if you're now also taking a drug to push it down more, guess what? Dizzy spells and fainting are next. So please do that. Devin, do me a favor, your doctor, 5 weeks from now, if things go the way I fully expect they will, your doctor is going to be more than simply a fan. In other words, your doctor is now a fan of paleo because he understands it, but now he's going to be more than a fan. And at that point, what I'd love you to do is I'd love you to let him know we have a medical outreach program where we're reaching out to doctors to create a prescription model for WildFit. And so I'd love for you to let him know that that's going on and that you can connect him with our team. But don't do it until your results. I want him to be in.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Eric.
Thanks very much. Glad to have you here. Really glad to have you here.
Me too.
All right. I'm going to go to, I've got Rafaela.
Yeah. Can
I
you
couldn't
hear me?
figure out if you were Raphael having a paella or what was going on over there.
Well, Raphael. Well, nobody can figure out here because I'm French, but I live in London. So it always end up Rafa. Cool. I'm really happy to be here. Thank you. I found this week quite tough. I felt really bloated, to be honest. I found the whole food in the morning quite difficult because I've been doing a lot of intermittent fasting. So basically not eating before 11 or noon. And what's pretty bizarre is that now I'm having all those fruits and not eating at all. I'm actually, I actually usually go to the gym lunchtime and I have my food after and I'm fine and I can exercise lunchtime with no food and I'm good. And now I'm having, fruit in the morning and by 10, I'm super hungry. So it feels really bizarre. It's like, I feel like, I'm eating a lot, but I'm actually more hungry in the morning than if I actually fast. It's kind of a weird feeling for me.
Yeah, I get that. Go ahead.
Okay. The other thing I was wondering, and I don't know if you discuss that later on the program, but one of the reasons I'm here is also because I've been diagnosed with a thyroid issue like about a year ago. And I kind of know where it's coming from. I think I've always been quite sensitive to gluten and dairy, and I stopped them like 4 years ago, but obviously that's not enough. But I also had kind of like almost like a big burnout, at work, at that, like a few years ago. And I think I'm actually getting the consequences of that, like, skin rash, and I'm sure I've got the candida I'm trying to get away, and the thyroid didn't help. So I'm working on that, and I actually have a functional doctor. And what he did is that besides giving me some thyroid hormones, gave me a bunch of vitamins and minerals, to try to rebalance. And one thing, for instance, is that I know that I'm super, super low with zinc. And what's interesting is that I've been taking a lot of zinc, and I do my test again, and guess what? I'm still low. So it's like, do I need like an infusion in my blood directly to absorb the zinc? It seems that I don't absorb it. And the next thing, and I know that, hopefully this will help, but I started to read a lot of things about, absorption of minerals. And one thing that came to my mind is heavy metals. And I look, for instance, at zinc, typically it seems that when you have a lot of cadmium, for instance, it seems that the cadmium actually stay on the same receptors than the zinc. So if you have too much cadmium in your body, it means that the zinc cannot be absorbed even if you get some. And I'm just wondering how that play around, what we're doing right now.
Let's unpack some of these things.
Okay.
So one of the principles of WildFit is that we don't like extracts. What I mean by that is that we view nutrition as a symphony. So orange is a symphony and vitamin C is a note, right? So what that means is that when we take vitamin C in as an external note, there's all kinds of issues related to that. Is it the same kind of vitamin C? Is it water soluble? Is it digestible? Is it bioavailable to us? But more than that, the body is going to take in that vitamin C and it's going to go, well, where the hell is the rest of the concert? Right? Like, what's going on here? So that's one issue that we have, generally speaking, with any kind of a extract, which includes supplements. Frankly, it includes oils. Now, I'm not saying we're strict on all of this stuff, but if somebody overdoes it with oils, like even olive oil, it's an extract. You're meant to be getting it with the fiber and with the fat of the oil, of the actual. Now, I don't like olives, so I'll take my olive oil, but it also includes, well, bottom line is what I'm getting at is that extracts, we think that they create and we're not really a big fan of visit. But now there may be some absorbability issues, but there's something else. What do you suppose happens? What do you suppose happens? Let's think about melatonin. Melatonin is a natural hormone that humans make, and it makes them sleepy. Your body makes it when it's dark outside. What do you think happens if you take melatonin every day?
Well, I think that probably your body stops producing any melatonin.
Oh, so what do you think might happen if you were taking zinc all the time?
Yeah, okay. It's interesting because I thought about that with the hormones, because that's why I didn't really want to get into the hormone things, but I started to have, to feel very low, and I just saw, and when I actually started to take the hormones, I was like, well, actually, I feel a bit, more punchy. So,
right,
but you're right, probably.
The almond is zinc in the full concert. A zinc tablet is not. Right? And so I'm just not a fan. Like calcium supplements, no. Calcium is meant to come as part of a concert called broccoli or kale or green leafy vegetables. It's not meant to be, you can't go into the classroom and eat a piece of chalk. It's calcium, go for it. No, it's not available to you that way.
So where do you find zinc, for instance?
Look, I don't have a table here in front of me, but this is a quick list here for you. Hold on one second. Okay, this will not come as an entire surprise to you, but spinach, beef, shrimp, flax seeds, oysters, and the list goes on. There's, and again, I'm not quoting any of that from scientific study. I'm just reading it off of the blog. So I haven't checked any of that. I'm just telling you that's what they're listing here as zinc-rich foods. Now, I think I've said this before, but I'm going to give you the WildFit view of supplements. Right? I want to give it to you like supplement. First of all, the word supplement means in addition to, not instead of. Right? Now, most of our supplements are being sold instead of, right? So, you don't need to get that, just take the supplement, or you can't find that, just take the pill. No. So that's the first thing. Second thing is that our approach to supplements works like this. Step one, boost your nutrition as maximally, as efficiently, as effectively as possible. All right. Then if you have a provable nutritional deficiency, you then seek out the foods that are rich in that nutrient, and you take those foods in an unbalanced way. You eat more of them to bring up your zinc levels. Then after that, if you are still low, then you might consider taking a supplement. Now, unfortunately, if everybody followed those steps, they'd probably sell one pill for every 10,000 they sell right now. But that's the way it needs to be. What supplements do is they give you very expensive urine, and they poison our oceans. I'm not a big fan of most supplements because I think they're being overly used in place of or instead of food. Does it make sense?
But I'm just wondering what happened if, the receptor of the zinc are already, taken by something else, like, cadmium, for instance.
It's a good point. One of the problems that we have, and we'll talk more about this in a few weeks, but one of the problems that we'll have is that in some seasons, when people are eating, for example, the Alka-Geyser with so much kale and oxalic, I've seen some people debating, should we be eating all these vegetables? Well, it turns out one of the things that those vegetables do is that they inhibit the uptake of magnesium. They make it tougher to bring in magnesium. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have them. It means that we should cycle them. It means that they're meant to be seasonal. And so one of the reasons that you might end up with an imbalance is that you had an imbalance to begin with. And the way we return that balance is by having a cyclical eating pattern where we don't eat the same stuff all the time. We don't have the same alkalizer forever. We change the ingredients after a few weeks, and then we try some new ingredients. If you eat the same vegetable every day for a year, you're getting too much of a good thing. You can get too much water, and you can get too much oxygen, and you can get too much spinach, and you can get too much kale. So one of the things that might, inhibit, or affect the receptors or inhibit your ability to absorb a given nutrient might be too much of another food. But if you're eating in seasons and in cycles, then that shouldn't be a long-term problem.
Okay. Good.
Does that make
Thank
sense?
you. Yeah. I didn't consider the season before. That's food for thought.
I'll tell you, having been speaking about this stuff for 20 years and having been really steadily coaching people on it for 4 or 5 years now, I can tell you that it is one of the biggest things that's missing from every dietary dietary program on the planet. Now we've begun to notice diet programs starting to talk about seasonality because it's bloody important. We evolved to live through seasons. We evolved to put on fat, to take off fat, to boost our calcium, to lower our calcium. We evolved to do these things because not because it's so healthy to do it, but because nature had seasons, and for us to survive, we had to adapt to those seasons. And so now we're stuck with that. So give that a try and let's see what's going on. But generally speaking, what I would do in your case, if I'm not your doctor, this is not medical advice, this is not legal advice, this is not investment advice, this is just me having a chat. If I were in your shoes, I would probably not take zinc supplements. I would wait until we got to about week 10 or 11 or 12, and then I would retake the tests at that point in time and make a new decision about supplements then.
Okay. Thank you. Cool.
Really nice to chat with you. All right, Patty, you're up. Patty Sutton.
Hi, can you hear me?
Hey.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, so this first call I got to be on because I live in Hawaii and I work and I've been traveling, so I got to face all kinds of issues. Really good timing. And I learned a lot, so thank you for that. What I wanted to ask you about was I have several friends, including my boyfriend, who are really thin. They already eat right, pretty good, but they're still having some challenges. And if you follow the Wild Fit and you're really working through it, after you get all done with that, do most people manage if they're starting out with really low weight? How does it work? Just a quick.
Because weight is such a prolific problem in the Western world, it tends to be one of the biggest conversations we end up having in WildFit. WildFit was never created as a weight loss program. It just happens to be bloody good at that. But the reason that it's good at it is that being at your natural weight is what your body wants to do. And so when you have a healthy, balanced, cyclical diet, your body will go to its optimal weight, whether that means gaining or losing weight.
Right.
And so now the structure that we're going through right now will stimulate weight loss in just about anybody, because we're going into a season that is designed around metabolizing fat because it's a nicer way to live. There's a better energy flow when you're metabolizing fat than when you're metabolizing sugar. But there's another season that's about gaining weight, and then there are specific things to do when you particularly want to gain weight. So, but the main message is that your body wants to be at its optimal weight. And when you have a balanced cyclical diet over the balance of time, your body will want to go to that weight. Your body, for the people who are overweight, their body doesn't want to carry that extra weight around. I had a client just now, she's actually a member of our team and she's just finished the program. She lost 25 pounds on the program. And I said, the problem with losing 25 pounds is that you lose it so slowly that you don't really recognize the value of losing it. So what I want you to do is go get a bag fill it with 25 pounds worth of stuff and carry it around for an hour. And then let's see if it's a big deal or not. Because she's like, I only lost 25 pounds. I'm like, only? Seriously? Really? Like, it's a huge amount of weight. And then plus on top of that, consider the extra work that the heart has to do, the extra work that the lymphatic system has to do. Like, your body doesn't want that extra weight. The only reason that our bodies hold on to the extra weight is that our body has a perception that that extra weight is helping us to survive. Once the body goes, oh, there's no winter coming, then the body goes, oh, I don't have to carry this stuff around. Let's let it go. And equally, if somebody's underweight because they're malnourished or they have a lack of activity, when they live a balanced, healthy, cyclical life with the right movements, they gain weight. Make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, and just to say, I lost 100 pounds and I had surgery. I gained a little bit of weight back and I haven't been able to lose it. And with all the changes that I just made, I couldn't hold on to the behavior. So I started this knowing that revisiting all those behaviors would be like your second go around Wild Fit, I guess. But it really is helping. And I am seeing, when I think through it differently, how much difference it makes. So thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. I just want to address one of the comments that's in here. So Dana, and I'm aware of Andrew, and she's made a comment here that there's a particular, that we'd be ripping apart what I'm saying, that we absolutely need to have vitamins. I have an argument for it. In fact, a friend of mine created the soil depletion story. Am I being censored now? That's what's going on. The NSA is I'm saying the important thing. I'm kidding. Am I back? Test, test, test. Am I back? All right. Can you guys hear me again? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, cool. Anyway, so Dana, I'm aware of Andrew Saul, and I understand his position. And what's odd is generally when somebody like him comes along, there's some backroom deal. They're basically selling supplements of some kind, and there's a million justifications for why they believe you have to have these things. Let's be really clear. He is 100% right that we require all of those vitamins. We absolutely require those nutrients. He's 100% right. Where he and I would not agree, and I don't think we would even disagree, where I suspect we probably would agree, is that it would be ideal to get those vitamins from natural whole food sources first. I can't imagine that he would disagree with that. Where we might disagree is that he might believe that it is no longer possible to meet our vitamins and mineral needs from only whole food sources. He might believe that. And I can tell you, I know one of the reasons that people do believe that, because a friend of mine was the marketing guru behind the whole soil depletion story, that the soil's depleted so much that there's no vitamins and minerals left in the soil, so there's none left in the food, so therefore we got to take vitamins and minerals. That was developed for a marketing campaign to sell vitamins. I'm not saying that there isn't some truth to it. The best marketing campaigns will have some truth. But there's also plenty of places that still have good soil, that are still growing good, that are using good farming practices and can grow foods that have good, solid vitamins and minerals in them. I stand by what I said. And Dana, I don't believe that Andrew Saul would disagree with me at all, that first we have to get our diet right. First, our first responsibility is to satisfy our needs for all nutrients with whole foods, with healthy foods. Secondly, if we then find ourselves depleted on anything, we should seek a food source for that. And then failing that, if we cannot find a way to get those vitamins, then Andrew and I are in complete agreement. You'd better find a way. Because let me be very clear, the best example, I mean, he uses vitamin C a lot in his examples. It's a perfect one because it's actually the vitamin that turned us on to the whole idea of vitamins in the first place. If we feed somebody perfectly, we take out all toxicity, we don't allow anything bad in their diet whatsoever. They have a perfect evolved diet, but we somehow scientifically remove the vitamin C from their diet, they're gonna get sick, even without having eaten any toxins. So Andrew is completely right. Where he and I might have a little bit of disagreement is the triggering point at when you decide to take an artificial extracted vitamin rather than a food-based vitamin. Dana, I hope that helps you a little bit. And I'm hoping, and I frankly, I imagine that Andrew wouldn't disagree with me or might disagree mildly about when we make the decision. And that would be about it. We agree we got to have the vitamins. I imagine we agree that those vitamins first come from food and that they only should then come if we can't satisfy them through food. If he doesn't agree with that, I'd ask you to consider what that means. All right, who is next? We'll take a few more here. Angela, you're up.
Hello.
I got you. You're on.
Okay, I was just typing the question. I'm sorry if my English, if you don't understand me very well, but my English, it's not very well. It's not very good right now. So I'm kind of
And
like,
what's your first language?
it's Spanish.
Spanish. Oh, wow. Well, your English is muy bien, far better than my Spanish, let me tell you right now. So you're just doing fine. And Angela, I want you to consider something. I met this woman the other day, and she was in one of my business programs, and she learned Russian until she was about 8 because she grew up there. Then she left Russia and moved to her next country. Then she left Russia. She speaks 5 languages, but none of them is a first language. She literally has 5 second languages. She's not fluent in any one language. She's horribly depressed about it. So let me be really clear. You speak fantastic English and way better than my Spanish. Jump right in.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have a few questions. I just had a baby like 2 months ago. Actually, I'm breastfeeding him right now. So I have 2 questions about that. The first one is, should I have 6 glasses, 8 glasses, or more because I'm breastfeeding? So
yeah, I see the question here as well. I just saw it. Breastfeeding, like, I don't want to give you a measurement. I'm not going to prescribe a measurement. You just need to drink a phenomenal amount of water. Let's be really clear. In order to make milk, like my first wife, she dried up, ran out of milk one day. I was away on a business trip in Tokyo, and bam, her milk ran out. I immediately, I got on with her. We were on AOL Messenger. I actually saved the AOL Messenger conversation from 20 years ago. I still have it. And even though I don't even know does AOL even exist anymore? I have no idea. But the point is, I had the chat, and in it, I said to her, listen, what's going on is that you're probably dehydrated, and now you're stressed, and that's dehydrating you even more. You got to go drink, 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 drink. Your body cannot make milk without water. So the answer is a lot. That's all I can say to you. I can't give you an amount. I don't know how big you are. I don't know how much milk you're producing. I don't know if you're overproducing. I'm not a doctor. I'm just going to say to you that hydration is incredibly important to milk production.
okay, what about the prenatal vitamins? Should I keep taking them, or?
You know, that's a really tough one, and it fits right into this other conversation. I am not a super big fan. I believe that you should be like, okay, should you take folic acid when you're pregnant? Yes, you should take folic acid. Only why not get it from food sources? Avocados are packed with folic acid. I'm not going to give you an answer to your question because I'm not going to give you what might be perceived as medical advice when you're dealing with baby making. I can't do that. What I'm going to tell you is you need all those nutrients. And in my simple opinion, you should get those nutrients from food sources first. And then if you fail to get enough, to seek supplementation. That's my opinion.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, perfect. Yes, that's great. Just to finish, just wanted to let you guys know that the no sugar for the next week for me, it's really a challenge because I normally have chocolate, like 2 or 3 chocolates every day. I love it. I kind of like live with it every day. But actually, I started eating when the meeting began, and I didn't like it. And actually, it tasted gross. I keep eating it. I have a huge bag of chocolate, and I kept eating it, even though I didn't want it. I don't know what's going to happen next week. What I do know is that before I start eating it, I had a headache, and I thought, like, this is gonna help me. Like, if I eat chocolate, normally it helps me when I feel low and my head hurts. And when I start eating it, it made it worse. But I didn't realize that at like other times. So I guess it's gonna trick a lot of things this week, because normally I think it helps me with my headache. And now I'm starting to realize it's completely the opposite thing for me.
Yeah, caffeine is so brilliant, you guys. I tell you, I wish I'd invented this stuff myself. It's genius. It's such genius stuff, like really, as a marketing guy, as a business guy. I mean, imagine creating a product that stimulates people's adrenal glands so that they get a burst of energy, right? Then messes their sleep up. Even though they sleep, they don't sleep very well. They think they're sleeping, but they're not getting REM, they're not getting deep sleep. And it does that for 2 nights in a row. Even if they have 1 coffee, 2 nights in a row, they don't really sleep as well as they think they're sleeping. And then pretty soon they're not drinking the coffee because it gives them a jolt. They're giving a coffee because it simply gets them to be back to themselves again. It's genius marketing. It's brilliant. Coca-Cola, do you guys know? I mean, this is not urban myths here. Coca-Cola was made with cocaine in it. And then when cocaine got classified as an illegal narcotic, they had to switch, and they were genius. They found something even more addictive than cocaine and more subtly stimulating so that it wouldn't alter people's behavior so dramatically that it would get banned. It was genius, genius. So yeah, watch your relationship with caffeine, because what caffeine is doing is manufacturing headaches that it then treats. Caffeine will take headaches away, but it also makes them come. So it's the perfect marketing ploy. By the way, in case any of you think I'm about to tell you to give up caffeine, I'm not. We're just talking a little about caffeine right now. That's all.
Okay, thank
Angela,
you.
thanks very much. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, cheers. All right, now I am taking 2 more and 2 more only, because I'm going to go do some family time. And I see Tiffany praying, and because I don't really believe, oh no, wait a minute, maybe I do believe. All right, what the hell, Tiffany, you're in. I just thought you needed that little roller coaster there. And Lori, you can relax. You're going to be next, and that'll be the wrap up, maybe, unless I'm very inspired. Go ahead, Tiffany.
Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. So I am a celiac, and I'm living in Nicaragua. We have been paleo for a number of years. And when we moved down here, unfortunately, the only meats that are gluten-free for breakfast, bacon and ham, also have sugar. And so I'm really seeking another solution to add with my eggs in the morning. Actually, I eat at noon.
Well, you know, Tiffany, the first thing is you probably don't need as much meat as you think you need. So, you know, one of the things you do is cut down meat consumption a little if you wanted to. I'm not encouraging that. I think there's a season for that, and we'll talk about seasons more as the weeks go on. But the other thing is that we, have you ever had that thing, you know the story, somebody buys a car and then all of a sudden, you know, you buy a new car and then all of a sudden that car is everywhere? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, did I lose Tiffany? Or did you guys all? Oh, you got it? Yeah, you see it everywhere, right? So, but why didn't you see it before?
It wasn't top of mind.
You're right, except for one small thing, and that is it's a trick question, because you did see it before, because if you didn't see it before, you would have tried to park where it was parked, right? You did see it before, you just didn't see it for what it was. In other words, as we change what's our values, as we change what's important to us, we start to see things differently. And what I'm getting at is that as many of us make dietary changes, we have to learn new shopping patterns. We have to go to different places. We have to ask different questions. Like, for example, I'm a big fan of buffalo as a meat. Now, I'm not suggesting you can get buffalo in South America, but what I'm suggesting is not one person on this call that's from Canada, America, or the United Kingdom can argue with me that they can't get buffalo, because you can probably walk into any butcher anywhere in North America or in England, and you can walk in there and go, hey, I'd like to get some buffalo, and they will get it for you. But most people don't know that yet. And so all I'm going to ask you to consider is that maybe you need to be asking a different question, and that is not which other things can I get here? It's more a matter of who can help me find them and where can I get the other things? Because maybe there are other markets that you should be looking at. Maybe, I don't know if you're into fish or you enjoy seafood, but maybe there's fish you could be introducing. But we got to start to think a little bit outside of the box. Also, do you buy your meat currently from a grocery store or from a butcher?
The butchers were, by the locals that I know at least, were just discouraged, and it comes in a package, which is not my ideal. At home in the States, I would go to my local butcher.
Are you guys losing her, or is that me?
From them, fed and pastured.
Okay, Tiffany, I'm kind of losing your signal here and there, and it looks like others are as well. Here's my message for you. I'm hoping you can hear me. My message for you is this. I just want you to be willing to go and ask the butcher. Just say, guys, here's my problem. I don't want to eat sugar and I don't want to eat wheat. What do you have? And I think you're going to be very surprised. Matter of fact, Elise and I did this. We were in Halifax over the summer having our baby. We want to have our baby born in Canada. So we went there. And we went to this regular market every Sunday. And when we go in there, we'd say, hey, we want some of these different, like they had these really natural, no filler, ethically raised, really good quality meat sausages. And we wanted to get some. It's great. But the challenge is we found that almost all of them were in sugar. I don't know if it's an illusion. I don't know if we just got better at it. But I swear by the end of the summer, when we went in there and asked for ones with less sugar, they had more selection. I don't know if we were driving that or if the market was driving that. But then around the same time, I had a client write to me and she says, weirdest thing, when I started the challenge, I could not find any sausages local in my local butcher that didn't have syrup or sugar in them. And she says, I went in there the other day and because he started custom making some for her because they didn't have any. And she goes, I went in there the other day to get my custom order. And he goes, actually, they all have no sugar in them. We've changed it. She said, why? She goes, because you and another client kept asking. And we said, if people are asking for it, that's the way it's got to be. We vote with our dollars. If you don't want sugar to be in everything, stop buying the damn stuff that sugar's in, and then they'll stop doing it. So Tiffany, I hope that gives you some resources and some ideas. All right, and Lori, you're up. I hear you.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, since I'm the last, now I feel the pressure to like move it along. There's just a couple of quick comments that I have that I've done a lot of like 21-day detoxes and stuff. And, you know, then you get to the end and you add things back in and you're supposed to pay attention to how you feel. You don't because you're so excited to add it back. So anyway, I love that aspect. And then my other light bulb is I've done a lot of like, I listen to a lot of podcasts and nutritionally, you know, this is good for you, that's good for you. I realized the other day that I'm adding a lot of stuff in almost to counteract what I'm eating already. You know, like cinnamon's good for your blood sugar. Well, if you're not eating a bunch of sugar, your blood sugar should be okay. So anyway, and then there were a couple of questions that were about traveling, which I also have. I have a trip coming up and I don't know what I'm going to do about this morning Alka-Geyser thing.
I will tell you what to do about the morning Alka-Geyser thing. First of all, if your travel involves a vehicle, go and get yourself a NutriBullet and travel with it. That's what we do. No kidding. Yeah. Like we have a NutriBullet in California and we have a NutriBullet we have one in England, don't we? We have a NutriBullet in England. So when we land in those places, we have a local bullet for the local power, and then we have a NutriBullet. So that's idea number one. If you're flying by plane to different areas and you're not going long enough and you don't really want to carry a NutriBullet, here's what's really fascinating. Restaurants and hotels want your business. They do. You'd be shocked. I was shocked by this. I don't know if you guys are familiar with BNI or Business Networking International. It's started by my friends Beth and Ivan Meisner. And they are, you know, into this big health kick. And you know, we work with each other all the time about food and stuff. And one day Beth came along and she goes, you know, we just send the recipe over to the hotel and they just make it for us. And so ever since she told us that, my team, when I go to an event, I show up, the hotel makes my smoothies for me. Now you might be thinking, yeah, but Eric, you're doing these events or whatever. No, I even do it when I'm not doing the event. I just go to the hotel and say, this is what I want for breakfast. Can you guys see to it? Not every place says yes, but the vast majority of them do. So please be willing to simply have the self-esteem to ask for help. And when you're traveling, I want to give you a little secret about menus. I think it's in the videos, but I want to remind you, a menu is not a list of meals for Wild Fit people. A menu is a badly organized list of ingredients. And so you're traveling, you walk into a restaurant, you notice that they've got the salmon linguine over here, and they've got the cheese and broccoli over here, and you go, oh, could I have the salmon from there and the broccoli from there? And boom, I've got the meal that I want. You become a health road warrior. That's what you do. You just decide that you're worth it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm good about it. I'm good about restaurants. It's just the Alka-Geyser thing. And I have a Vitamix, and it's a heavy one. So
yeah, that's why you get a NutriBullet for travel.
Okay, good to know.
NutriBullet for travel.
Okay, thank you.
Cool, absolutely. Thank you, Lori. All right, now, I literally have 4 minutes, and so I'm scanning around looking to see if there's that one person that still really, like, seriously needs help with something here. I'm just going through the pages. It looks like Joanna might give herself an injury if I don't pick her. So All right, you're up.
Is that me?
Yeah, there you go.
I'm Hannah, by the way, not Joanna.
Oh, somehow I ticked the wrong one. Oh, now I'm gonna have to do two more. Were you wanting to talk?
No, I'm just listening. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I don't know how that happened. I clicked on her, but it got you. Now I've lost Joanna, so I have to find her. Hold on. Poor Joanna. She was gonna. Okay, there. Joanna, I think you're on.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Wonderful. Okay. I am terrified next week. I'm going on a cruise. And I'm very good about buying food and bringing it home. And then if I don't have the bad food, I won't eat it. But it's going to be paraded in front of me. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to say no.
I know that you are going to be able to. It's only sugar. It's one thing. It's one thing.
But it's in everything. And how am I going to know what they put it in?
You're going to ask.
Oh.
You're going to ask because you have the self-esteem to ask. The person who asks is the person who doesn't get diabetes. The person who asks is the person who's less likely to get cancer. The person, people always go, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that fussy person. You know what? That person doesn't get sick. That person lives longer. So be willing to do that. And by the way, I want to tell you, I'm so happy for you. I really am. I'm so happy for you that you're going on this cruise because, we had a bunch of people that did the program recently and found themselves doing what you guys are doing this week in Easter. Can you imagine? That's it. Give up sugar, everybody. Oh, and by the way, it's Good Friday, right? You know what's really fascinating about that, though? That always happens because we don't schedule our programs based on when the holidays are. The holidays fall where they fall. That's how life works, right? Well, what's really fascinating about that is that when people go through really difficult challenges while they're on the Wild Fit Challenge, they are stronger afterward. And so the cruise is going to be a little tougher for you. It is. And all I'm going to ask you to do is do the very, very best you can. You signed up for the program. You want to get the long-term results. And the universe came along and said, you know what, Joanna, your challenge is surviving the cruise without refined sugar. You're going to go onto the cruise. And by the way, what cruise line are you going with?
Norwegian.
Okay. So when you get there, you're going to be assigned to a dining table, right?
It's actually a singles cruise. So it's all decided for us. I have no idea.
That sounds like a lot of fun. When are you going to have time for sugar? Holy. Now, what I'm saying here is that you're going to be assigned to a dining table. Is that correct?
I guess so. I've never been on one. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. That's usually what happens is they assign you to, there's going to be buffet times as well, but then the dinners are often like assigned to a table, white tablecloth. You'll have a dedicated waiter that comes to your table, and they do that for tips and stuff. They do it to make sure the tipping gets done properly and what have you. They get better service that way. You, on the very first day, are going to go to your waiter and go, I need help. And he's going to say, what can I do for you? And you can say, are you married? No, sorry, wrong one. You're going to say, I don't eat sugar. And I think just about everything on this is going to have sugar. And I need you to help me navigate to not have sugar. And he is going to make that his mission. And he's going to support you in not having sugar. All right?
Okay.
Cool.
That sounds
just do it. It's 1 week. It's 1 week. Seriously.
Okay. And I'm eating my Alka-Geisers because I can't stand smoothies. I can't stand the texture of them. But
I'll be really clear. Eating those vegetables is a better option than the Alka-Geiser. It's just most of us don't have the time to chew for that long. So, and by the way, I quite like to just underblend them a little so there's still chunky bits in them so that I'm forced to chew it a little bit. It's no problem at all. That's absolutely fine. It does not have to be a smoothie. It's just that most people don't have the time to eat that volume of green leafy vegetables and stuff if it's not blended for them.
Okay, cool. That's good. I can manage to do that on the cruise, and they're just going to have to bring me some celery and some cucumber for breakfast.
There you go. Well done. And, take some nuts and stuff like that with you. Nuts are always a nice filler, a nice snack, so when other people are going up to the buffet line, you got yourself handled. Preparation and willingness to ask for help are big keys in this whole thing. By the way, you also, again, I don't know, one of the things you might want to do is on the cruise, you might be on the lookout for people that are health conscious. Be on the lookout for them. And by the way, guys, if you want to make it, I'm going to give you some really silly advice here, but if you would like to make a lot more money, like if you'd like to attract a lot more money in life, hang out with people that are making more money than you are. And I know this might sound really shallow to you, but it's not. They have certain behaviors and things, and you know, that you'll learn from. And if you want to be healthier, then hang out with people that appear to be doing that better than you are. So Joanna, you walk on there, it's not difficult to tell the people that are paying more attention to their health. They look different than others. And so, you know, maybe spend some time hanging out with those people and say, oh, I noticed you're not eating sugar. Great, I'm not eating sugar. Create a community around yourself. You guys could be the anti-sugar rebellion. Have fun with it.
Okay.
All right, good luck. Yeah. Sorry, did you say you had one more question? Oh, okay, good luck, Joanna. Let us know how it goes. All right, now everybody, I am going to go. I did want to give you the extra bonus time, but I now have family duties to deal with here, so I'm going to go do that. It's been a real pleasure to hang out with you guys. I know that some of you have some apprehension going into this week. I want you to know that the way this program is designed is that this week coming, there's a few things that are really on your side that have not been on your side before. The one is that the food angel and the food devil have a very different dialogue now than they did a month ago. In other words, when you find yourself bumping up against one of these sugar foods, it's going to be tough. In the same way that last week, the devil was able to say, but Eric said, right? Like, think about, guys, think about this. What kind of hypocrisy is involved with the devil saying, but Eric said, and then this week, the angel goes, we can't have sugar. And the devil goes, why not? Well, because Eric said. Devil can't argue with that logic, man, right? You guys are in a position where this should be easier than you are expecting it to be. Good luck. Enjoy the buffer zone. Have a great weekend.